as we were watching the views from SpaceX, let's go ahead and listen in for just a minute to see if there are any updates on progress.
Foreman, and I'm a senior sales manager here at SpaceX. Today's mission is an exciting one. Not only is this mission expected to be our 385th operational mission to date and 90th of 2024, this will also be the 22nd flight of the Falcon 9 booster supporting today's launch. We'll be ending the webcast tonight after booster landing at the request of our customer, so keep an eye on X for confirmation of payload deploy. Unlike the previous Galileo mission, which SpaceX launched in April of this year, today we will be attempting to recover the Falcon 9 booster on your screen. Tonight we'll be using our drone chip. Just read the instructions.
And we were just listening in to see if SpaceX had anything to say about the weather in particular that we're tracking. No comment from SpaceX off the top of their commentary. Currently T-minus 7 minutes, 57 seconds into counting. About a minute away from the chill down of the 9 Merlin 1D engines. That process involves flowing a small amount of liquid oxygen through the plumbing and turbo pumps to help protect them from the risk of thermal shock and damage during the startup sequence. Taking a look at our live chat here, I want to thank the about 10,500 of you who are watching with us live. Hope you're all having a good start to the work week. If you haven't already, we'd certainly appreciate it if you could hit that like button for us. Allow some more folks to find their way into this live coverage as we continue on through the count. I want to thank SG for a $5 super chat. Good to see you again this evening. And for those who would like a bit of a refresh on the rocket that's preparing to launch in the next 7 minutes, let's go ahead and talk about the Falcon 9 in a little more detail. Falcon 9 mostly made up by the first stage. The vehicle in total is 70 meters or 229 feet tall with a diameter of 3.66 meters or 12 feet. Majority of it, again, is that first stage. This booster, B-1067 in the SpaceX fleet, having flown 21 times before, looking for its 22nd time today. At the base of the first stage are 9 Merlin engines, which burn rocket-grade kerosene and liquid oxygen, producing 1.7 million pounds of thrust. Around the engine compartment are black carbon fiber landing legs that will be used to land the first stage on the drone ship. Speaking of the first stage, just heard the call for RP-1 loading wrapping up on the first stage just now. Above the first stage is the inner stage. This is a composite structure which consists of an aluminum honeycomb core surrounded by carbon fiber. The image on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see those deployable hypersonic grid fins. These are titanium winglets that provide stability and steering for the Falcon 9 as it comes back through the atmosphere, tail first, like a big old dart heading towards the drone ship. At the top of the inner stage are 3 mechanical latches that attach to the second stage. In a first stage main engine cutoff, high-pressure helium is used to release those latches, and 4 pneumatic pushers ensure a clean separation. Second stage engine nozzle is also housed safely inside the inner stage adapter until stage separation. Speaking of that second stage, the upper stage of the Falcon 9 powered by a single modified Merlin engine called a Merlin vacuum engine, or an MVac engine. It's equipped with a large nozzle which is optimized for burns in the vacuum of space, hence the name. It produces more than 220,500 pounds of thrust. Will be fired twice, placing the 2 Galileo satellites into medium Earth orbit. Falcon 9's second stage burns the same propellant mix that being RP1 and rocket grade kerosene, same as the first stage. Following deployment, there will likely be a deorbit burn to help drive the upper stage back to the atmosphere to help it burn up and decrease the risk of space debris on this mission. Finally, as we're getting ready to see the strong back retract at the top of the Falcon 9 are the payload fairings. These are carbon composite material, and they stand 13.1 meters or 43 feet tall, and they're 5.2 meters or 17.1 feet in diameter. Take a look at those payload fairings. You can see the clamp arms underneath them opening up. The transporter erector will soon be reclining back away about 1.5 degrees from the Falcon 9 upper stage. Beautiful view overlooking Florida Space Coast tonight, as we're hoping that the weather cooperates in order to see a mission in just about 3.5 minutes lift off from Space Launch Complex 40. You can actually see just to the right of the Falcon 9's payload fairings in this shot, that building with a little bit of scaffolding on top that unfortunately we just pulled away from. That will be the second vertical integration facility for United Launch Alliance in support of its Vulcan rockets. That will allow ULA to have 2 lanes of action in which it can be stacking a Vulcan rocket while another Vulcan is inside the original VIF or an Atlas V rocket, whatever the case may be. Now, less than 3 minutes until planned liftoff, should be hearing a call for Falcon 9 first stage LOX load complete. Calls coming momentarily. And we did hear that good call out. Next fueling milestone is coming up in about 30 or so seconds when LOX load on the second stage should wrap up. Taking a look here at first look at the Galileo satellites that are launching today as they were being encapsulated inside Falcon 9's payload fairings. Now about 2 minutes ahead of liftoff. Listening for that final call for a second stage LOX load, wrapping it. Did hear that call out. Now about a minute away from liftoff, listening for the call out of Falcon 9 being in startup.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And with that good call, we are moving along quite well. The control of the countdown is handed over from the ground sequencer to the Falcon 9's onboard flight computers. We do have a go for launch from the SpaceX launch director. We are less than 30 seconds away from liftoff. 20 seconds. 15 seconds. And here we go. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine ignition and liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket on the Galileo L13 mission. The Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. Great job by our tracking team so far. Falcon 9 now throttling down as it approaches max Q, the point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Falcon 9 now traveling faster than the speed of sound. Once it passes through max Q, coming up in a couple of seconds, engines will throttle up again. Got the call for max Q. We're going to see a few events now coming up in the second minute in flight. The Falcon 9's first stage engines will cut off. Event called MECO, or first stage main engine cutoff. That's about T plus 2 minutes and 31 seconds into flight. That'll be followed a few seconds after that by stage separation. Then second stage engines start, SES1, and then the fairings will be deployed about T plus 3 minutes and 24 seconds into flight. Now 2 minutes into the mission. Coming up on MECO in about 15 seconds. MECO. Stage separation, and looks like Merlin vacuum engine is ignited. And you see those views from the onboard cameras from the Falcon 9 rocket. Still got some good ground views from our tracking cameras. SpaceX using their recovery vessel Doug tonight, named after former NASA astronaut Doug Hurley, one half of the duo who flew aboard the Demo 2 mission back in May of 2020. You see those payload fairings have been deployed. You should see onboard views momentarily. This view in the big box from Pete Karstens. You can see the fairing half still glinting in the sunlight here as the second stage continues its flight. At the request of the European Union here, the European Commission, not going to see any more views of the upper stage here following fairing deployment. We're going to pivot, as you see, to the onboard views, the Falcon 9's first stage. Those pulses you're seeing in between the hypersonic grid fins are the cold gas thrusters. Those help to adjust the attitude of the first stage booster as it makes its way down for a hopeful landing on the drone ship. Just read the instructions is what's on tap today. Shortfall of gravitas still getting a little bit of work done following the failed booster landing B-1062 back last month. Coming up, the next event we're looking for is we're approaching the 6th minute into flight, will be the start of the first stage entry burn. It's coming up at T plus 6 minutes and 20 seconds. You're going to want to look for the time there. Bottom of your screen from the SpaceX feed. The time on our countdown clock is from the real time of the mission. SpaceX coming in from a slight delay. Do you hear a call out for entry burn startup? See the ignition of 3 Merlin 1D engines now slowing the vehicle down quite dramatically. Given the amount of cloud cover, we probably won't be able to see that from our ground-based cameras. So we'll continue to stay with these pictures from on board the Falcon 9's first stage. There's the conclusion of the entry burn. Coming up is the landing burn. It's coming up beginning at T plus 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Again, if successful, this will be this booster's 22nd landing. You can see the telemetry data for both the first and the second stages in this map here. Hoping to get some views back from the Falcon 9's first stage. Again, the destination for these 2 Galileo satellites is a medium Earth orbit. Stage 1 now slower than the speed of sound. Coming up on the start of landing burn. It's coming up in about a little more than 10 seconds in the SpaceX feed. Let's listen in.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Confirmation.
And then we hear a call for the start of landing burn. Let's listen for confirmation of landing.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And confirmation.
And you heard it and you saw it just in the nick of time. Confirmation of landing for a 22nd time for Falcon 9 first stage booster B1067. Good call of nominal orbital insertion from SpaceX. We're taking a look inside the control room at their headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Saw a lot of views inside here during the course of a couple of events from the Polaris Dawn mission over the last week or so. Again, this is going to be quite a long coast phase for this Falcon 9 second stage now. It'll coast until T plus 3 hours, 26 minutes, and 52 seconds. There will be a burn of less than a minute, helping to circularize the orbit. And then the Galileo L13 mission satellites will be deployed at T plus 3 hours, 34 minutes, 22 seconds.